Students, I am going to teach you chapter 6 of NCERT, that is life processes. Topics which are being covered in this tutorial are concept of living being, categorization of living and non-living things, characteristics of living things, life processes, nutrition, types of nutrition, and photosynthesis. First of all, we have to understand the categorization of living and non-living things. Students, when we are going to categorize things being placed in front of us, we have to consider cellular organization, that is eukaryotic or prokaryotic. Here, many things are being placed in front of you, like umbrella, ball, red, etc. We have to focus on cellular organization. When the things being placed in front of us have cellular organization, that is either prokaryotic or eukaryotic, we have to categorize them as a living one. When the things do not show any cellular organization, these things are being categorized as a non-living one. However, object like chair, which is made from wood, but its cellular structures are dead. That is, the cells are dead. Hence, chair is being categorized as a non-living thing. Characteristics of living things. Living things can move by themselves. They can change their position from one place to the another one. They need food, air, and water for various metabolic activities. They can grow in all dimensions like size, shape, weight, etc. They can respond to change around themselves. They are sensitive to their outer environment. They can respire, they do the gases exchange. They can excrete their metabolic waste. They can reproduce. They have the capacity to produce babies or offsprings. Now comes to the definition of life processes. All basic metabolic functions performed by living organisms are referred as life processes. The basic life processes are nutrition and respiration, transport and excretion, control and coordination. It refers to the response to stimuli like touch, heat, or light, growth, movement, and reproduction. Student, you need to focus that only nutrition and respiration, along with transport and excretion, is going to be discussed in this chapter, and rest of the life processes will be discussed in subsequent chapters. Now comes to the first life process, that is nutrition. Nutrition refers to the process by which an organism takes food and utilizes its food. It refers as nutrition. Now the question comes, why do organisms need nutrition at all? Organisms need energy to perform various activities. Energy is provided by energy rich substrates like carbohydrates and fats. As you know, carbs and fats are very good source of energy. Organisms need various raw materials for growth and repairment of body part. These raw materials are proteins. Protein serves as raw material for growth and repairment of the body part. Now, what are nutrients? Nutrients are materials which provide nutrition to organisms. The basic categories of nutrients are macronutrients and micronutrients. When nutrients are being required in large amount by an organism, it is referred as macronutrient. Examples are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. When nutrients are being required in small amount, they are referred as micronutrient. Examples are minerals and vitamins. Comes to the types of nutrition or mode of nutrition. Basically, there are two types of nutrition, autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs, as the word suggests, autos means self, trophos means feed. Organisms use simple inorganic substances and either light energy or chemical energy to synthesize their food. When organism requires simple inorganic substances along with either light energy or chemical energy to synthesize their food, this types of mode of nutrition is referred as autotrophic mode of nutrition. When light is being required for the synthesis of food, the process is referred as photosynthesis. It is being observed in green plants or algae. When organisms require chemical energy for the synthesis of food, this process is referred as chemosynthesis. It can be observed in nitrogen fixing bacteria like rhizobium. Now comes to the another type of nutrition, that is heterotrophs. When organism obtains energy through intake and digestion of organic substances like animal or plant tissue. This type of mode of nutrition is referred as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Examples are fungus, mushroom, human, ticks or lice, leopard, etc. You have to focus that in autotrophic mode of nutrition, simple inorganic substances are being required like carbon dioxide and water. In heterotrophic mode of nutrition, you require organic substances. These organic substances are referred as ready-made organic substances. These are being prepared directly or indirectly by autotrophs. Now come to the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. There are basically three types of heterotrophic mode of nutrition. First is saprophytic, when organisms feed on dead and decayed animal and plants. Example fungus. Fungus feed on dead and decayed animal and plants. Then parasitic mode of nutrition, when organisms feed on living organisms referred as host. Example ticks, lice, cuscuta. Cuscuta is referred as a parasitic plant. It is called as amarbail in Hindi. Holozoic. Holozoic, when the organism feed on other organism as a whole. Example human, amoeba, paramecium, etc. Various categories of holozoic mode of nutrition. These are herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, carrion feeder, scavengers. Herbivores are those organisms which feed on plants only. Example cow, buffalo, etc. Carnivore, when organisms feed on animals only. Example tiger, leopard, etc. Omnivore, when organisms feed on both plant and animals. Example human, crows, etc. Now come to the carrion feeder. Carrion feeders are referred as scavengers. When organisms feed on dead organism, they are referred as scavengers. Example of a scavenger is vulture. The basic difference between saprophytes and carrion feeder, that saprophytes feeds on dead and decayed organic matter, that is animal and plants. Carrion feeders feed on dead organism, not the decayed one. That is a basic difference between saprophytic and carrion feeders or scavengers. Okay, that saprophytes feed on dead and decayed animal and plants. However, carrion feeders feeds on dead organisms only. Now, the organisms are being categorized as autotrophic or heterotrophic. Autotrophics can be further categorized as photoautotrophic or chemoautotrophic. Examples of photoautotrophics are plants, protists, purple sulfur bacteria, and chemoautotrophic nitrogen fixing bacteria like rhizobium. Now, heterotrophic mode of nutrition, the holozoic organisms are here, like rabbit, rat, dog, etc. Saprophytes, bacteria, and fungus, and parasites, bacteria, fungus, protist, animals, plants. We have discussed one plant, that is Cuscuta, Amarvale. Now, photosynthesis. every organism on mother earth is directly or indirectly dependent on this process. This is very very important process from understanding point of view as well as from CBSE point of view. The definition of photosynthesis, it is a biochemical process. It is biological as well as chemical process by which plants manufacture their own food using simple inorganic substances like CO2 and water as raw material in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. This process is being presented in terms of equation like 6 CO2 molecule are going to be combined with 12 water molecule in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Simple sugar are going to be manufactured like C6H12O6 and 6 molecules of water along with 6 O2 molecules are being released as a byproduct. These are not being required for that of the process of photosynthesis. These are the byproduct. These are not being utilized by the plant. These are the byproduct. The gases evolution is being represented by the arrow. You have to learn this equation as a whole. It is being mentioned in the NCRT. So you have to place water molecule on both of the side, that is on the reactant side, that is 12 water molecules here, and on the product side as well, that is 6 water molecule are being released by the process of photosynthesis as well. Okay, so you have to understand this equation. The formation of sugar will never ever happen when there is lesser molecule of carbon dioxide or lesser molecule of water. 6 molecule of first carbon dioxide molecule are going to be joined with that of the combined with that of the 12 molecule of water. Then only the sugar that is being required by the plant is being produced, and 6 molecule of water along with 6 molecule of oxygen are being released. Okay, so basic condition which are necessary for that of the photosynthesis you can observe from the equation as well, that is sunlight, chlorophyll, CO2 and water. CO2 and water serves as a raw material for the process of photosynthesis. Sunlight is essentiality for the process of photosynthesis, and chlorophyll is a compound which is being required for the absorption of the sunlight. Absorption of the sunlight is uh, done by the chlorophyll only. Chlorophyll is responsible. Chlorophyll is a pigment which is responsible for trapping of the sunlight. Okay, so raw material for that of the photosynthesis are CO2 and water. You can observe from the equation as well. These are the raw material. Okay. Now, events occur during photosynthesis. Absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. This is very very important step. Without this step, rest of the steps will be held down. The light energy is being trapped by chlorophyll molecule. Then there will be the conversion of light energy to chemical energy, and then splitting of water molecule. Water molecule is your H2O is going to be split into two molecule, that is hydrogen, that is H2 and O2. Oxygen is your O2. Okay. Then reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. Then there will be the conversion of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. This is very very important step. This is the formation of carbohydrate for which a whole of the process of photosynthesis is being devoted. These are the three processes you have to learn in a very sequential order. You need not to write a conversion of light energy to chemical energy as a first step for the photosynthesis. Always first step of the photosynthesis will be the absorption of light energy by chlorophyll molecule. Then there will be the conversion of light energy to chemical energy and splitting of water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. Then there will be the reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. You have to remember that these steps need not to take place one after other immediately. I'm going to discuss one example of desert plant. In desert plant, there is a deficiency of water, so they survive in an environment where deficiency of water is persistent. So these plants used to take CO2 during night. Okay, and the conversion of this CO2 molecule to carbohydrate happens in day. Okay, So CO2 absorption takes place during night. However, the conversion of CO2 to carbohydrate takes place during day only. Okay, so these steps need not to takes place immediately after one another in a very like just after another, just after another. Sometimes it takes some time. Okay, like in the case of desert plant, we have discussed one example of desert plant where absorption of CO2 molecule takes place during night only, and the conversion of CO2 to carbohydrate takes place during day when light is being present. So these two processes require a lot of time. There is a difference of lot of time between one step and the another step. That is absorption of the CO2 molecule which takes place during night, and the conversion of CO2 to carbohydrate takes place during day. You have to keep this in mind while writing these steps. This can be asked in MCQ as well. Okay, so you have to prepare this part, that these steps need not to take place one after another immediately. Immediately means just after another. We have discussed one example of dry plants, desert plant or dry plants, where the absorption of the CO2 takes place during night, and a conversion of CO2 to carbohydrate takes place during day. That is the case of desert plants. Now, how plants obtain CO2 from atmosphere? CO2 is a raw material for the photosynthesis, as we have discussed. The green plants have special organs in their green tissue, mostly leaves. Leaves have the green tissue that is responsible for the gases exchange, and that is your stomata. These are referred as minute pores being present on the surface of leaf, that is epidermis, for the gases exchange, that is exchange of CO2 and O2. You have to remember stomata is responsible for exchange of both of the gases, that is intake of the CO2. CO2 will serve as a raw material for that of the process of photosynthesis, and O2 is going to be released as a byproduct by the process of photosynthesis. Exchange of gases also occur from the surface of stems and roots as well. As you can observe, when you touch a stem of any tree, bark of any tree, you can observe that minute pores are there. These are responsible for the gases exchange as well. Similarly, in the case of roots, you can observe the minute pores over there. They are responsible for that of the gases exchange. So you have to understand this fact that this gases exchange also occur through that of the stems as well as roots along with the leaves. Okay, so gases exchange occurs through all three structures of the plant, that is leaves, stems and roots. Okay, however, stomatas are being present on the surface of the leaves. Okay, on the epidermis only. Now there is a structure of stomata, refers as opening and closing of the stomata. You have to recall the structure of a stomata from the slide you have prepared in class ninth. These are the guard cell. You can see the bean, kidney bean shaped cell as a guard cell. Okay, and these are the chloroplasts in which chlorophyll will be present, and these are your vacuole. Okay, these two are your vacuole, and you can see this is the stomata pore. Okay, this is the stomatal pore, and if this pore is visible, this stomata is referred as open one. Singular stomata, the singular form of the stomata is a stoma. This stoma is referred as a open one. Okay, when you can see or observe stomatal pore. Okay, and vacuoles are responsible for absorption of the water. As you can recall from your previous studies in ninth, that a vacuole can absorb water. They can have the capacity to hold water for a very long time, and by absorption of the water, the stomatal cells, that is guard cell, become turgid one, and they used to open and in terms of pore. And if this pore is visible, this is referred as open stoma. And in contrast with that of the other stroma being present over here, two guard cells are here, cell wall and chloroplast is here, and you can see the vacuole are become thinner one. These are the broader one because they have water in them, and in contrast with this, these are the thinner one because they have lost water. Okay, and you can see over here. Okay, and here there is no stomatal pore. If there is no stomatal pore, these are the closed one. Okay, you can observe these are the turgid guard cells, and these are referred as placid guard cells because they have lost water from their vacuoles. Okay, so these are your closed stoma and these are your open stoma. In open stoma, what will happen? CO2 will be taken in for the process of the photosynthesis, and O2 will be released out from the pore because it is not being required by the plant. So it will be released from these pores. Okay, understand this fact. This is open stoma, this is closed stoma. Here, the vacuole is turgid one because it has absorbed the water molecules, and in this case these vacuoles are the flaccid one because they have lost water, and the pore is closed one, as we can't see any pore over here, and we can see pore over here. These are the open one, and from the open stomata only there will be gases exchange. CO2 will be absorbed for the process of the photosynthesis, and O2 will be released as a byproduct of the photosynthesis, as we have discussed in equation as well. Okay, you have to learn and memorize these diagram in a very holistic manner for the case of CBSC board preparation. Now, how plants obtain water. Water used in photosynthesis is taken up from soil by roots in terrestrial plant. As you know, plants absorb water by what kind of tissue? That is xylem, right? And other material like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and magnesium are taken up from the soil. As you know, nitrogen is very very important for the plant because all of the protein is derived from that of the nitrogen. These inorganic substrate are being absorbed by the plant in a dissolved form. Dissolved form refers that these minerals or these inorganic molecules are being absorbed in a dissolved form along with that of the water absorption only by the xylem. Okay. Now, summarization of the process of photosynthesis. Here, the stem, root, and leaf part is being shown along with sun. You can see sunlight and chlorophyll are the essentiality for that of the process of the photosynthesis to occur in green plant, or CO2 is being absorbed by the plant by stomata. Now, O2 is being released as a byproduct from that of the stomatal pore in the outer atmosphere, and water and minerals are being absorbed from that of the soil for the process of photosynthesis, and ultimately the product, that is magic product, is being prepared by the plant, that is glucose. If glucose is being immediately required by the plant, it is being transported as such through phloem. As you know, the tissue which are responsible for the transport of food material in plant are phloem in upward and downward direction both, that is tip of the plant and tip of the root. Okay, And if it is not being immediately required, glucose is not being immediately required by that of the plant, it will be stored in the form of starch. Okay, and here the pink color arrows are for the absorption of water and some of the minerals which are being transported in the dissolved state along with that of the water by the conducting tissue, that is xylem, in the upward direction. Okay, pink arrows are only in one direction, that is upward direction. Okay, however the molecule of glucose can move in upward and downward direction both, but the movement of water will be always in one direction. So movement of water is referred as unidirection, and movement of food substances, that is glucose, will be bidirection, that is upward direction and downward direction. You have to draw this diagram in your notebook, and you have to prepare your notes by your own, develop your own understanding. And if you have any doubt, you can raise your doubt in Google spreadsheet being shared with you. That's all for today. Thank you, students.